So, Wuthering Waves. A lot of people have been comparing it to Genshin, Star Rail, and a lot of other gachas in the space, Tower Fantasy. And from what I've seen from a lot of other creators, their videos, they did a first impression after playing the game for 5 or so hours. They didn't get too deep into the systems at play. And I feel like they missed a lot of other points in design and other things. So we're going to be going over that here. I've spent the last 3 days absolutely grinding the game out. 12-hour days, trying to really experience as much as I could of the game before I did my review, touching up on things. So we're going to go over a few things, and then we're going to give you my overall thoughts and where I think this game will really stand out. So first I'm going to go over design. So a lot of opinions I've heard are it's very bland. They don't like the character designs or things like that nature. However, I would argue we need to compare this game to the start of Genshin, to the start of Star Rail, to the start of Tower Fantasy. And if you compare this beta to version 1.0 of Genshin, this world has so much more going on in it, so much more variation in design that I don't see how people are comparing it and saying this pales in comparison. So if we're thinking Mondstadt, all right, so yeah, this initial area, it could be very Mondstadt-like, you know, crags, mountains, lots of greens. But you can even see from here. Look over there. There's sakura trees. There's a bunch of different types of, you know, foliage going on here. There's bogs with mushrooms and different color palettes. And you can go over here and there's going to be these big luscious forests. You go back here and look, you've got the purples and pinks and interesting designs. So as far as design, I feel like this world has a lot to offer. There's a good variation for a starting area. And comparing this to Mondstadt or Herta Space Station or Belobog, you've got a lot going on here. And I'm excited to see it. Now, going to character designs. Yes, I think that there is a lot that can be done with character designs. The palette used on the characters isn't super interesting, and I can see where some people think these characters are going to look kind of generic. However, it's also very elegant. It's a different style. It reminds me more of like Star Rail, where Star Rail is not as crazy as Genshin, but Genshin also has 7 nations that they put out early in the game, each with their own identity, representation, in order to pull from designs. So their designs come from a complete product already, versus I feel like with Wuthering Waves, we're going to get crazier designs as the map opens. We visit new regions. They're going to be adding more designs to their characters. And right now, in the early area, they fit the area. The characters do fit the area, which is very nice. We do have a couple of characters where their colors pop, but there's no problem with the muted colors. And I would kind of compare it to a Studio Ghibli movie versus a show like Demon Slayer, where if you go and you look at a lot of Studio Ghibli movies, the colors are kind of like muted and faded, really hitting that 90s anime style, similar to like Cowboy Bebop and Trigun, stuff like that. And looking at that, we can really then compare it to Demon Slayer or something, or Naruto, where it's very bright orange, yellows, magentas. They're very, very notable colors, very popping colors everywhere. And I enjoy the design that they've taken. It feels like a more mature area. So overall, I feel like the design of Wuthering Waves is trying to take on more of a mature aspect. So then we're gonna go fight a boss real quick. And the next thing I want to talk about is the music. Now, with Wuthering Waves, a lot of the mechanics are based on music. So if we go and we look, you've got resonators. Those resonators have stuff like Spectro. And then if you go to their talents, their resonant skills, Forte, Resonance, and outro, intro, they're going for a lot of musical terms in here. We're gonna go fight this boss here. We're gonna get some of that music, and we can kind of look at it, and I will go over at the end kind of what I mean with it, because this is, I feel, one of the hot takes I'm going to have in this video. A lot of people have been praising the music, and I think they can do better, and I would like to see it. Music, really awesome, right? So this continues. It's a very, like, chunky beat music. And here, it is phenomenal. It's extremely good music. And as we progress through the battle, so here's phase 2. We've hit phase 2 of the battle. We knocked him off of his bike. And you hear the music and how the music has deafened. And as we continue this fight, it hits again. But we'll notice here, as we beat him, the music just kind of fades. And even whenever we hit second phases, that's the end of the fight. The music never punches the way it needs to. It's got that heavy chord progression while you're kind of like just starting to face off against the enemy, and then it just kind of dies. Comparing it to something like Star Rail, or actually another good example is anything that's from Soft, right? If we look at a Dark Souls game or Elden Ring, you have those moments in which you have the first phase of the boss, and it's kind of that build up, that dance. You're learning the movements of your opponent, and you're dancing around that. And whenever you hit the second phase, the music hits. It hits hard. And people that have played things like Star Rail, that first fight with Cocolia is phenomenal, because you have the buildup of the embers turning into wildfire throughout the whole entirety of Belobog, where you have the music where it's low and it's building up, and whenever you get to that second phase of Cocolia and the music hits, that's an incredible moment that I feel I really, really want to see in Wuthering Waves. I want a boss that has that concise music feeling, because it doesn't feel satisfying when it just mutes and fades away. So, now that we've covered design, let's talk about mechanics. So, first off, we'll start with the gacha system. As far as the gacha system goes, I think that they're doing a good job. Some of the things that stand out is weapon banners, 100% guarantee. They don't have a system where if you pull for a 5-star weapon, you will not get the one that you are looking for. And this carries over to the standard weapon banner as well, where you can choose which weapon type you want. So if you have a character that you love, you know that you can invest in that character and it will pay off, which is phenomenal. That is one of the best quality of life changes that I have seen in any gacha game, where you are able to get your guaranteed weapon, your guaranteed investment in a character that you have fallen in love with. Also, another system I've seen that I haven't seen in many is if you go to the store, they have something similar to the Stardust. Whenever you summon and you pull another 4-star or 5-star, you're going to get Afterglow Coral. And you can take that Afterglow Coral, and normally what most people will see is you can buy an additional wish. And for these, you can buy the premium character, the premium weapon, or you can get a standard. And the standard can be used on either the standard weapon or the standard character banner. But something else that you can use it on is Eidolons for your premium 5-star characters. Eidolons, constellations, I think in this game they call them chains. But you can get your additional copy of a premium 5-star character for what is essentially free. It's not going to take another, 80 wishes and winning a 50-50 to get that. This to me is such a good change, and I'm excited to see how good free-to-play people can make their characters with this, in combination with how they're doing the weapon banner. You can really invest in a character that you love, and I think that's phenomenal. Another system I want to go over is the resin or wave plate in this game. We start at 240. We start at 240 instead of 160, and on top of that, you still have to use it for character ascensions, weapon ascensions, ley line style things, stuff like that, right? So you still have to use it for that. However, when I play Genshin, or I play Star Rail, what I notice I use it most on is artifacts or relics. In this game, they have the ecosystem. Now, the ecosystem, they're sort of like Pokemon. When you defeat an enemy, they have a chance to drop an echo. You are then able to absorb that echo, which is sort of going to be like a Pokemon. And that is your relic or artifact. So you can see on this, the Impermanence Heron. We've got 13.8% crit rate, 92 flat attack. And as you level them up and unlock additional perks for them, we got crit damage. These are your artifacts. And they also have your bonuses. We have energy regen increase based on what we have. And the first one that you have equipped on here will also give you a new attack to incorporate into your moveset. So your artifacts are more than just a simple stat increase. They will change the way you play the game, which is incredible. And how you obtain those is not through resin. You go fight the enemy and you take it down and it has a chance to drop it. They do also have these, which I didn't unlock, I think, until Union 23, where you can kind of farm specific ones that you want. Which again, overall is phenomenal. So they have a way where you can spend your resin to target farm, or you can go out into the world, you can find them. And you can get boss echoes, you can have regular echoes. So overall, it's a phenomenal system. If you run out of the resin in this game, okay, just go out to the wild and farm these. So you have something to do and a way to make your character better without having to spend resin, which is something I feel like, you know, the game needs. Okay, and so now we'll go to combat. We'll go to combat. All right, so the overworld combat, it's not too difficult, but we're gonna go into a battle. I'm gonna show you guys kind of like a little. This is one of the like world bosses, and maybe at the end we'll see an echo that we can pull as well. So this guy's pretty cool. It's an ice boss. He can freeze people. We're gonna go in, and I love the complexity of the combat in here. So you've got perfect dodges, and you can parry in here. And another cool thing that you can do, so you use your summons in here, or your artifacts, actual giving attacks. We got frozen here. And as you see, it's actually doing some damage. This is our healer here. And they have intro and outro things where whenever you hear that chime, you're able to change out your character and they will do additional moves. So it feels really intricate when we get going. And I would say the only downside is the difficulty. The difficulty is going to be an issue. While they can do damage, I'm not really struggling to beat this boss. I didn't do any items. I didn't do much. And we were able to take him out pretty easy. So something I would really love to see is a way to do more difficult bosses in order to really use the mechanics. And there you saw it dropped an echo. and then we can spend to get the bonus. But what's good is you can get the echo without spending your resin. But yeah, overall, the combat feels robust. It feels fun. It feels fast. It feels action-packed. But right now, there's not much of a reason to do more than button mash. And again, we're union rank 25, so we're pretty far in there as far as like the difficulty level we should be seeing. And I know it's the beginning of the game, and I know it can get more difficult and they don't want to overload new players, but I feel like new players could still be pushed into upgrading their characters more. I was able to complete the entirety of the beginning arcs without touching any upgrades, not leveling my characters, my weapons, my echoes. And I was able to make it far with doing nothing but button mashing. So in order for the positives, in order to see more from the positives of the combat system, they're going to have to upgrade the difficulty so that we can actually get to the point where I need to use those systems that they've given us. So, the movement. The movement feels phenomenal. We are given a grapple hook early. You can do an air dash. You can vault over things, which is a huge upgrade to exploration compared to Genshin. Legitimately, like, the movement in here feels so much better. You just vault over things. It doesn't enter an awkward climbing phase for it. You can glide. Sprinting doesn't take stamina. And so I think exploration is what Genshin does the best. And I still think Wuthering Waves holds a candle to it, if not even beating it. Another cool little side thing that I've always hated in Genshin is, so if you climb something, it's slow, you get to here, and you can't do anything about it. You can sprint and vault over ledges where you would be stuck in Genshin. And that, to me, changes the game. Exploration is so much more fast-paced, and it feels good. Let me take you on some of the endgame. So, most players I saw get to this point. Okay, so a lot of the content creators that did their initial reviews. This is essentially the Spiral Abyss. It's going to be a challenge where you go in, you bring your team, and you're just going to beat some enemies here. Now, looking at this was not my favorite. I didn't really enjoy this. It felt like the challenge wasn't on how I built my characters, because even whenever I am bringing characters that are on par for the level 50 is about where you should be on here. Yeah, to match the opponents. Even bringing a full team of level 50s, including my 5-star with leveled up relics, leveled up weapons, instead of making the enemies more difficult, they are bullet sponges. And so clearing it in the amount of time that I'm given was difficult. But that wasn't engaging gameplay. It's a bullet sponge. So, where do I see the end game really going? This doorway here changes everything. The elusive realm is simulated universe if it was in Genshin. And I love it. You're able to upgrade your overall performance after every clear. And whenever you proceed, you are limited on the characters you can choose per illusionary realm. And I love that. It challenges you to try out new styles that you would not try. So this is a character comparable to Noelle. It's a counter character. So we'll go in here with her. And when you do it, you get to choose a summon companion that they'll give you. Here you get to choose a support item. And we'll bring Mortifi for some burn. And then we get to choose something to actually upgrade our character in general. We'll do this. It'll make our counter auto trigger. And we'll go in. And this is the difficulty I like to see in the characters. So when we are coming in here, they don't just feel like bullet sponges, especially as you get past. It feels like an actual challenge, and it's something that where we get to build. And I'm here for it. This is what I will spend hours on. Building new characters, seeing how I can make them work in this illusion realm to really pop. So you go through here, and throughout the experience you'll be able to go through multiple doorways, and you get new buffs every single time. And at the end there'll be a boss really testing you at the end to see if your choices were good, if your characters were built well enough. And this is the end game, in my opinion. This is the real end game. And I'm going to be spending a lot of time on it. So after you clear it, you talk to him, you choose a new upgrade. Combo attack and defense increase can be stacked. After dodge, crit rate is increased. So you go for there, you choose your next area, and you're in it. This to me is what Genshin needs. This is the end game where I feel Wuthering Waves will really take over if it does. It doesn't cost resin. You are getting, as you go through it, you are going to get better and better as you get those permanent upgrades. It gives you something to build into. So for me, this is where the end game will be. So now we're going to get to what most people click on these videos for. Is this going to kill Genshin Impact? Short answer is no. The long answer and my opinion on it is I feel like Genshin and Wuthering Waves are going to work in tandem very well. I feel like Genshin has needed another serious competitor to challenge their design team. When Genshin first came out, it was innovative. It was phenomenal. It was encapturing with the world and characters that they brought. And because they were never challenged, they didn't have to do any better. It's something you've seen happen with a lot of games, such as Pokemon, Call of Duty, a bunch of games where when they had no competition, they became stagnant and boring. And Wuthering Waves, I think, is that first real competition that Genshin will need to kick it into overdrive and start doing better. Wuthering Waves also has places where it could improve, and it will need to grow, or it will also become stagnant. And so I think having both Genshin and Wuthering Waves working together in tandem is the best outcome, where they're both working hard to excite the players and be new, exciting, creative. I think that's where they need to go, and I think most players will play both. It's a gacha game at its core, and something in gacha games is you're going to have dry periods. New character drops. People try out that new character. They love it. They do the weekly missions. They do their daily character building. And then they run out of things to do. And so I think players are going to play both. They're going to play both. They're going to enjoy both. And overall, it'll help both games do better. You won't be forced to play during the boring downtime in between major updates. You just go play the other game. So in conclusion, Wuthering Waves, I'm extremely excited for. And with its heavier focus on combat, I think it will be my preference over Genshin. However, I will still probably play Genshin. Again, I don't think these games are meant to stop the other one from being played. I think they will challenge each other and they will grow together. And I think players will play both and enjoy both. So thank you for listening to my review of Wuthering Waves. I hope you got some insight, and I hope that the extra time I took to make sure I had experienced more of the end game is appreciated, and I hope that you will all like, comment, subscribe. If you have any ideas that you would like me to go over specifically, feel free to put that in comments. I try to go over all the comments as much as I can. And yeah, I hope you all have a great time experiencing Wuthering Waves when it fully releases.